Alright, hello again. So in this tutorial I want to take it one more step, one further, and that is to create something like this animation where we have these blocks going up and down, but they are different color, and in fact they are not monocolor necessarily. They contain a picture perhaps, or they are part of the big picture, or even more, they could contain video. They could actually be playing some sort of a video on top of that. Alright, so there's a couple of steps involved in doing that. Let's get started. First of all, we'll need two images. One is the grayscale images that shows the elevation changing up and down. And then there is another image containing the color that we will be mapping on top of these cubes. So the way we've done the elevations is essentially to let's see, create an animation. Let's do a simple one, just 30 frames to be done really quickly. And actually it doesn't matter what's in it, you know, we could just initialize it to blank. And what we'll do is, once we've created this animation, is to go to the timeline editor, and in the timeline editor we'll use something like the Perlin noise. Right, so Perlin noise, perhaps a little bit fewer iterations. There's different phases, different types. Let's get a really large scale so we don't have too much detail, and fairly high speed. Let's do something like this, okay? Let's see, one more choice. Yeah, no, that's actually better. That one has more of a range going from dark to black, I mean from black to white. Okay, so let's go render that. Alright, so this is going to be essentially our color map, our elevation map. Alright, so we have changing gray values across the pictures here. And once we've got that, we need to have a quick look at it. There we go. Yep. Okay. So now the next thing is we need to go to make it more blocky. And I think that's in the transform section. There's a mosaic look. There you go. So with the mosaic look, we can go all the way up here and have a very coarse mosaic appearance. Alright. Now, before we do that, let's go and let's grab a snapshot of just this image here. Let's store this image, and turn it into a colorized one. Okay, so that's the trick. We will need to define the colors on it. In fact, we don't need to define it on this one necessarily. We can do that right on the mosaic version. So let's go and create a very blocky mosaic version. Let's render that across. And so now we have these grayscale values that are changing. So those elements, those cells that are dark, will be relatively low elevation, black all the way at the bottom, white all the way at the highest elevation. And that's what the 3D designer is going to look for. It's going to look for pixels that are white and make them high peaks, and those that are low dark will be low valleys. Now, when it does that, it also has a choice as to what color to give it. Not just use this information for the elevation, but then also what color. And that information can come from either itself, or it can come from this picture, or it can come from the swap buffer. It can be a different image from the swap buffer. So what we need to do is, if we want to use this particular image, we can copy that to the swap buffer and then perhaps colorize it. Or we can put something totally different into the swap buffer. Right, so we could do, for instance, we could go and copy that to the swap buffer. Then we can go and jump to the swap buffer. Well, no difference there, it's the same thing. Maybe let's grab a copy of it just so we have it stored in case we need to get back to it. But most importantly, we can now go and colorize it. Maybe with the fill tool we could go and hit the space bar for a quick color picker. Let's go orange and fill it in here, and then blue, couple of blues, couple of greens, couple of yellows. See what I'm doing? I'm kind of manually sprinkling colors of different values, different places here. That's kind of boring. That's not a very good way to do it. Another way would be to actually start with a different image, perhaps paint on it, right? Whatever I'm using here for the brush. Let's go and select, I don't know, organic effects, some leaves, put some leaves of flowers. There you go. Let's go take the flowers. Where's my organic? There you go. And where's my flowers? Okay, so it's not flowers, something else. But at any rate, I can take this and some sort of a mix of colors, and then use the same filter here to make it a little bit more blocky appearance, right? And which one was that? Not the crystallize, not the spherize. Trying to remember which one is mosaic. Probably that one. Yep, there it is. Now this one is a little bit different range, so it might not look like exactly a match with the other. We have only one. Let's see how many elements we had in this one here. One horizontally, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 elements. And this one here is 64 elements, so it's not exactly a match there. Well, so what? Okay, so we apply that here. We have this color set, and if we jump back to the main buffer now, image, jump back to the main buffer, we still got this. Now if we click this icon here, we can blend them together. We can see the two blended together. And in fact, what we can do now is exactly what we wanted to do here, which is to go to the filter, transform, 3D designer, and you can now see what's happening, right? So if you just apply the color as an object color, you can say, okay, I need something like an orangey, and background color you can also set maybe white, right? And that's there, right? Well, that's not magical anymore. What we want to do now is map a color on them, and so we can either have the color from the image itself, but that's an elevation map. The grayscale will change, all right. But what you'd like to do instead is actually have the color come from the swap buffer. So just change it right here, all right. And what you now see is that the elevation is controlling how high these things go. That's from the main buffer. That's from the animation in the main buffer. And we can actually see it. Let me go and no, I guess I'll do that later. But anyway, what we can see here is the elevation is controlled by the main animation. The color comes from the swap buffer. And so let's go and render that. I'm going to simply give it a little bit of a rotation angle there too, just to make it even more interesting looking. And there you go. So now at this time it's running through the 3D designer and rendering the 3D designer transform on each frame where it connects the elevation map. Let me go and swap back to the there. Alright, so what it did is to use the elevation to change how high these blocks are, but the color that it maps on them is still coming from the image that was in the swap buffer. Now in this case it was just a bunch of blocks. It could actually be a photograph. It could be something really cool. So let's go do that. Let's go and grab, let's see if we can grab a video of the monkeys. Where's my monkeys? Okay. Oh, and these are not DWAs, these are AVI files. So let's load an AVI. There you go. Okay, so let's go our monkey here. And alright, so that's a video of a monkey. We actually only want this one frame at this point. So let's grab this image, store it, and we will put it into the swap buffer. Alright, so let's go and copy that to the swap buffer. Alright, and then we can go and perhaps redefine the animation, create an animation of just, this time we'll do 55. Alright, but we don't really care to see this monkey in here. What we want to see instead is, again, these blocks going up and down with the animation. The grayscale representing the elevation. So let's go and use the timeline editor. And we've done this a few times now. We should be done there by now. Let's use the Perlin noise and large scale, and let's use this type. Yeah, why not? Let's use this one for. I don't know which one's fastest. Let's go a little bit faster now, and let's see, iterations. Make it really simple and render that. Okay, so that'll go a little bit faster, and then we'll go. What's the next step? To make them blocky. And that's the mosaic appearance. There it is. And let's give it something like, let's give it like this. Oh, let's go with the max. Why not? There you go, to the max. All right, so we got these blocks moving up and down, right? I mean, they're not moving up and down, they're changing in brightness, but we know what's happening when we pass that into the 3D designer, it's going to be an elevation map. Now, none of these are white. Some of them, this one might be black, but none of them are white. We may want to expand the dynamic range so that we are on a full range from white to black. And then that way we have a little bit more dynamic range in the elevation, in the 3D animation as well, when we actually animate that. Alright, so now here's still the monkey that we have in the swap buffer, and we can double check that. Click here and you should see him. Yep, there it is. Alright, and the brighter the blocks are in the main buffer, the higher up that block will appear when we pass it through the 3D designer. And we're ready to do that right now. So let's go to Transform 3D designer, and there we go. So let's see, what do we have here? Big blocks. And let's go high resolution. Here's my monkey. It's not a monkey on my back, it's a monkey on my blocks. Let's see what else. Maybe we want to see him like this. Okay. And then move him down a little bit. There's some more controls here, right? Perhaps a little bit more. There you go, something like this. And give it a little bit of lighting. And let's see what else could we do here. I think that's pretty good. A little bit, scale it up sideways. There you go. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do is render the animation again. Perhaps a little bit of a rotation, not a whole lot. Actually, you know what? Let's not do any rotation at all this time. Alright, so the only thing that's going to change is the elevation map, the grayscale values of those blocks. The color, the picture from the swap buffer is being mapped on it. And in a few seconds, we are done. So now we have these blocks going up and down because the grayscale indicates they need to go up and down. The picture, though, that's from the swap buffer is going with it and mapped right on it. Now, the next question is, could this, instead of being a static picture, could that actually be a video in itself? And if so, could it be a composition of multiple videos? Could we essentially have multiple blocks where the whole thing moves up and there's different videos that are stacking up and down? And the answer is yes. You can actually have, in version 7.1 now, you can load, where is it, the animation? Animated swap buffer. You can designate a DWA file as an animated swap buffer. Alright, let's go do that. Alright, so actually let's do that in the next video. Let's stop this one. I think this is long enough. Next video will show how to do that.